shout out to Flacco. I know him and his wife, they're having a party right now. He was supposed to be here, but he will come next time. Bringing up Liberty Dan. Thank you for being patient and being here in the room with us.
Oh, no worries. Hope you all doing all right.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate your time.
But yeah, so whatever you want to talk about, I'm here for it, so we can find some solutions.
Okay, Royalty, you can give him the same question.
Made you boy get a beef?
What made me go against the beast? Well, really, I didn't get super involved into this fight until the second half of 2021, because before COVID happened, like I call it, when the world came crashing down, because that's what it seemed like. I was traveling all the time. I was going here, going there, just doing my own thing. I was really never in New York, even though I had my apartment here. But right when in 2020 in March, when everything shut down, couldn't travel anywhere, everyone is in fear. There's so much craziness in the news. You just don't know you don't know what was going on. I was a bit lax at first, kind of like Trooper. I didn't think it was going to be that serious, because I was actually abroad, Budapest, Hungary, for like a 3-4 day layover. That's where I was when everything shut down. I was like, this will be over in a month. We'll be good. Then all the flights will get back going again. And then it's just like a week went by. It was like nothing. It just kept getting crazier and crazier, like reporting the cases, people framing the hospitals, like all these people walking around in masks, which I didn't even see myself until about April. I don't know when people started going crazy with that in New York in 2020, but where I was at in Budapest, I didn't really see anyone wear a mask until the end of April, when I flew back to New York finally. Since I was stuck and I couldn't go anywhere, I just started going through so many rabbit holes, like not just with COVID, but some other things too that I never even heard about. But in 2021, I was just doing my own thing. I was just kind of like seeing what they're doing. I see what's going on in this part of the world, in New York as well. Even like during the George Floyd riots in the summer, I wasn't getting involved in anything. I was just doing my own thing, just minding my own business. In 2021, like when I saw them pushing the shot harder and harder and harder, what really set me over the edge was when I saw Cuomo in a press conference. He said, "We gotta go to your door, put in a car, and get that
medical decision."
What? That's it. I'm going back to New York right now. And I went back like 3 days later, and then I was at the first big rally at City Hall about a week after that. So that's when I really first started getting involved. Was when I saw them pushing it so hard. Like, you could just see the writing on the wall that things were coming. And then eventually we had the mandates not too long later. So that's what really got me into it at first.
Wow. So did you see the stickers? So how did you know to go to the rallies?
I found it on Instagram. I found New York. I don't know if it was New York Freedom Rally's page or if someone shared something. I think someone shared their event from July of 2021. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, like New York is finally doing something against this nonsense, because I was looking on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, I saw so many people in Europe going crazy, like big rallies, like in London or Germany or where else. And I'm thinking like, is there anyone in New York doing anything? I haven't seen nothing.
Right.
But I wasn't really there myself that much, so I couldn't really know for sure. But then I found footage from that event. I was like, there's actually someone seeing the BS like I am. Because I since April, late March, early April 2020, I knew this was just whack. Like nothing made sense. And I thought, like, I can't be out of my mind. Like, there's got to be other people who see this too. And that's when I finally realized that there's other people in New York who think like I do. I found that on Instagram, and then I found the page, and then I saw the flyers for a City Hall rally. I think it was August 9th. That was the first one I went out to.
Yeah, the rallies they get promoted pretty well because we from Queens, and I was walking by a bus stop and I just seen I don't know if it was New York Freedom Rally. I think that's what it was, but it was like a rally, come meet in somewhere in Manhattan and stuff like that. And we just like, we're gonna go there because there's not too many people that are like-minded, excuse me, when it comes to this situation. Everybody just kind of like either talk about it a little bit or just ignore it and just go with regular life. But I'm like, it's getting to a point where it's like they literally forcing it on us. I'm like, nah, we gonna go there and see what's going on.
Like I mentioned, when I saw Cuomo say that in his press conference, we gotta go to your house, push in a car,
put that vaccine on.
I was like, that's it. I've had it. This is done. I gotta do something. And then on that first rally that I went to on August 9th, I went there. Let's see how it is. Let's see how the vibe is. See what people are saying. I didn't know anybody. I don't think I talked to anybody there. I was just kind of just acting like a fly on the wall just to see what was going on. Several of the speakers, like who we know so well, like Joe, Joy, Kevin, Curtis. I saw the big poster of de Blasio, like holding the Statue of Liberty. There was a little bit of press there. I wasn't sure. They're probably all independent press, but I saw a few people there doing some reporting on it.
They were flying. I saw News 7 were flying over us. If you remember the helicopter.
I do remember that. I remember that.
I remember seeing that, and they showed like 15 seconds, and they switched up the story.
I've learned so much the past like 2-3 years is just how bad mainstream media is. I stopped watching it entirely once COVID came around. The only time that I actually put on the mainstream news now, like CBS or Fox or whatever, if I want a good chuckle, I'll put it on for a few minutes.
Right. Well, I applaud you for taking control of the narrative because you have been writing some very great articles. When did you start writing?
I started writing in general in 2018. Ironically, like Trooper, I worked in the fitness world. I wasn't an owner, but I worked as a manager at a small private gym in Brooklyn. But the travel bug hit me pretty bad in 2018. So if you know my Instagram, like my name is Dan the Traveling Man on IG.
Yeah.
So that's what got me into writing first, because I was desperate to find something where I could work on the road, so I could travel at the same time while I'm working and making money to fund travels, pay bills, etc. In 2018, I had to really get a hustle mindset. I was writing pretty much like anything I could gobble my hands on. Scientific articles. What else I did? I actually tried writing like a romance book, but that was a disaster. And then eventually I just started writing about travel, and that stuck because I enjoyed it so much and it just naturally stuck. So I was a travel writer. Once COVID started, that's what kind of like got me into political writing, and I'm still doing that now.
Yeah, man. It seems the pandemic is just whatever the system wanted the pandemic to do. It did the opposite, man. It got people creative. It got people banding together, finding their tribes. It got people finding out how to make money without going to work. It got people doing all this productive stuff. Shout out to the people that don't give up and don't get discouraged, because I haven't heard too much stories about people saying, yo, the pandemic I didn't learn anything from it. A lot of people spiritually woke up from it. It's amazing seeing how darkness could just bring so much light.
Like it's probably the darkest period of our country since 9/11. But there is a silver lining, because a lot of people have woken up big time to how bad our system is set up against us. A lot of people see it now.
Like,
Wait
that
for
was
the
for the people. That was for the people. That was for you all.
When you born somewhere, you know what I mean, and you indoctrinated, you don't get a chance to really see the other options, the other views of the world, the other ways to be. Especially if you're not reading a lot and you just living your life, and a peaceful life or whatever it may be, we perceive it as. But we're not seeing anything else. We're just seeing just this. So everything seems like it's just fine. And so you're like 20 years old and you start thinking a little bit. You start letting your cognition work a little bit more. And you're just like, wait a minute, why are we being paid this much? Why are we not being paid this much? When we start thinking about little stuff like that, then we start going down a rabbit hole. Next thing you know, you find out like the whole system is just flip-floppy, like. Or
just a basic example, like why does it cost like $1 or $2 for a nasty cheeseburger at some fast food joint, but it costs like $5-6 for fruit.
Right.
So they wanna get you in ways that you don't think about. Oh, I'm gonna go save money, but in the long run, I'm damaging my health. That's how they get us every time.
Honestly, eating those foods is, I mean, if they're your only option, you know, everybody has these struggle days and stuff like that. But eating those foods for long term is not saving money.
And at the end of the day, the hospital is a business. They thrive. They thrive off your sickness.
Unfortunately, and that's something that I speak on all the time. I don't mind working, and I don't mind people working and grinding and stuff like that. But I'm gonna just say this is a subtopic for me. I just feel like certain things should not have anything to do with money. Funerals, marriages,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying, and things like that.
Yeah.
Sacred things need to be funded by the government or funded by the people in some way where it ain't really taking too much money from our tax money or something or whatever. But just let that be handled. Let that be a regular event. Why are people negotiating on what's going on when it's a funeral? We negotiating how much it's going to cost to cremate. We negotiate. Come on, man. Certain things just don't need to be businesses, man. You know?
Especially when you see how much like holding a traditional funeral costs. It's like tens of thousands of dollars, I think.
Exactly. That's what I mean, man. Anybody else got anything to say about this here question? I know this is our infamous question right now. All right, Roy. You gonna keep asking the questions, right, bro?
The next one was basically, how do you feel about natural immunity?
At least for COVID specifically, there's over 100 studies now that show natural immunity. It's superior to these shots they're trying to force on us. I just read one literally today. It came out in the New England Journal of Medicine 2 days ago that people who have not had any shots, they are contagious for a less amount of time than if you've had 2 shots or 3 shots. So you're not as contagious if you're not vaccinated. And then there's a different study also from the New England Journal of Medicine that came out this week as well, that natural immunity for over a year is more effective against Omicron than 3 shots from the Pfizer. So, and there's also, I know Brownstone did a good job reporting on this. There's literally about 100 studies that show natural immunity it's lo and behold the best thing you got. That's what we get from God. He builds our bodies to withstand anything. So why are you gonna try and replace that with something cooked up in a lab? As long as you take care of your body, you're not putting toxic chemicals, like bad foods to your body, and you're like working out, keep a good healthy profile, strengthen your body to withstand any disease that might come your way. That will allow your God-given immune system to function and ward off anything. But going back to how they thrive over our sickness, if you're not healthy and you feel like you have to go take these injections, then it's gonna keep you reliant, and you'll just constantly be sick.
You know, you're into journalism, and I'm sure you study these different articles daily, and that's a great thing that
It's weird to say this, but given how bad like the NIH, the FDA, and the CDC can be, a lot of times if you just actually dig into their documents, it proves our point, especially for natural immunity. It's very
yeah, I mean, it's there for you to see. They always say, oh, you could go to the CDC website. I mean, they have it there in plain writing, clear as day. I mean, if you can't read, or if you don't read, you won't see it. So you would have to go to the actual website, and it'll tell you. It'll tell you right there.
Especially in the NIH database, there's a lot of good resources there. Surprisingly, since we know who runs it, Mr. Fauci himself. Right. But there's good sources that prove our point, like for natural immunity or side effects. Like they say it, they just admit it. But they know that the majority of our population is not intellectually savvy enough just to go research ourselves instead of blindly listen to what's on the television.
Right.
That's the problem.
And, you know, I don't like to keep on playing the victim, because at some point in age and your life experience, you have to just know, like, okay, I'm a grown up, I'm an adult, I'm gonna just do my own research. I'm not gonna keep relying on these people. Of course. You know what I'm saying? It stems down from our elders, and you know, unfortunately, they have been Jim Crow to death, and so they're stuck in that time. So they're just
Yeah.
doing what they're told and what they're used to. And it's just sad because unfortunately it passes on down to us. And I feel like we're like the awakened generation.
With
And we're trying to save them in return, because now it's like not that they they didn't know. I don't think they had an option to know. I think if they tried to know, they were killed off or beaten or things got taken away. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say anyone, like referencing our elders, anyone who dared question the corruption of the system, the ones in power, they harshly just wiped them out. And we still have that problem now.
Right. So it's kind of like the fear. I guess the fear is heavy, and it's like re-happening again with the fear. The fear is just like it takes over to the point where you forget that your creator is in control. You're letting man run your life now at this point. So I think that this is it needed to happen so that we can, like God did this so that we can wake up and turn to him at this point, because we are allowing, it's not even man anymore. It's wicked powers and spiritual beings, entities, evil, to dictate how humanity lives. Because at the end of the day, we have to realize that this is spiritual warfare.
Especially the last few years, it's real. Those wicked forces they're much more blatant about showing their faces now. Last few years,
Yes.
it's way more in your face.
Yes, and then they're not ashamed anymore, and it's like they take over the human body, yes, but that doesn't mean that they have our best interests at all. Like all of these years, they have blinded all of our generation. Because remember, in the beginning, they said, "Oh, this is just for the elders. This is just for older people." Remember, it had nothing to do with adolescents and babies. It was just for them. I think that it was for them so they could wipe them out first, right? It turned into 40 and up, then 30 and up, and it's just kept going until now, until 2022. It's babies.
It's been a very difficult process trying to wake enough people up to not give their children these shots. I think the majority of parents are finally starting to see the light or some kind of semblance of it, or they're at least questioning things, because the rate of parents who have children from 6 months to 4 or 5 years across the country, it's only about 1.4% have gotten them last time I checked. That was about a week or so. And if you compare it to older kids, they're like the percentage of who took it in those demographics are higher. It's about 25% for 5 to 11-year-olds. It's about 2/3 of teenagers. It's like beating your head against the wall, but I think it's finally starting to pay off a little bit.
Yeah, and that's just a part of the programming. It's like we're unlearning to relearn, and we just have to be repetitive, just like they're repetitive. So like I said, it's a great thing. Like you play your role into the media, where you're helping to awaken people in the same way that they're using their tactics to brainwash and to repeat the programming, the negative programming. You're doing the positive programming. So that's why I commend you, because that's what it takes. It's a war. It's a war.
I'm up at odd hours, like most nights, trying to research and find stuff to tell people about. Like, did you know this? Did you know that? They're like, oh crap, it's crazy. So I'm just trying to find like anything I can get my hands on to show others like what they're like how this agenda is being played out.
Right.
I dig that. I ain't even gonna lie, I'm the same way. Like, I like to just find stuff so that way it's like after a while you get addicted to being like bringing light. Like you get addicted to being some type of enlightenment, because it's so much darkness out here. It's just like, man, let me go find out some more information to debunk all of this nonsense. Like, it's like I'm on a hunt to try and find more stuff. Like, why does the system not speak on things like zinc more? You know what I'm saying? Simple things like zinc, something that we already see in Walmart. We see, you might not want to get it from Walmart, but something you see all over the place, you hear about it all the time, but then they won't explain like how important that stuff is to take at a time where you're fighting something off or to prevent something. Somebody that has a zinc deficiency may find themselves potentially on a ventilator or potentially dealing with, a harsher, more severe sickness just because they didn't have zinc in their body. Why is stuff like that ignored? We don't talk about that. We rush to putting people on vents and stuff like that. But being on a vent, taking zinc makes it better if you get put on a vent because all of the air pressure that comes from the vent, zinc protects your lungs from that too. So it's just like even with your treatments. Your treatments do certain damage that God's given natural treatments help. So it's just like we can't keep ignoring this. And when you find that information, you got to shed the light on that.
Now, it still blows my mind how a lot of people still don't understand the scam in the hospitals that they did to fool so many people. What was the standard protocol that they gave anyone who went into a hospital with COVID? They would ignore them at first and send them home, and then once they got bad enough, they had to come back. They gave them remdesivir. There are 2 studies in the New England Journal of Medicine that showed that they were using remdesivir at first. They tried to use remdesivir as an Ebola treatment, an Ebola antiviral, but it was killing so many people in the trials, they had to pull it off. They had to take it out of the study. So then 2020, like right when COVID started, they put this very, very bad study out there. Oh, we gave one person remdesivir and their symptoms improved. So we're gonna make it the standard protocol now. That's what gave people all these COVID-like symptoms. It was the side effects from remdesivir, and then they would put them on the ventilator, and that did even more damage. That's how they got us. It wasn't killing people. It was like the treatment protocol in the hospital.
Yes, because those were like corticosteroids. Those things speed up your heart rate. So when you're using a ventilator, which is putting more pressure on your lungs and forcing your lungs and your heart to go to work, that remdesivir and all that stuff, which is helping you speed up your death, really. And that's why a lot of people die. You're right.
The remdesivir actually filled your lungs with fluid, and it made it like pneumonia.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. A lot of people died from COVID pneumonia.
That is the remdesivir that's what was doing it.
Beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how just dirty it was until maybe about halfway in 2021. That's when I really this was wicked. This was a wicked fucking machine. Oh, sorry, excuse my language. I get mad from time to time.
Yeah.
No, we're all fed up. Trust me.
Yeah.
I'm more mad because what they doing to our elders. I'm mad about that, and most of them don't even know what's going on. They're just doing what they're told, and I'm mad about that because they're killing my family off. So you're finishing your job, you're seeing that it's taking a little bit too long to kill them off because we're awakening them. That's our job. That is our job.
For sure.
All right. So 1 second before we continue, because Squeaky is definitely the handler here. Oh, we got Juju in here. What's going on?
Hey, Juju.
Juju.
Are we gonna keep going? We gonna keep asking questions, or are we going forward?
Yeah, we're gonna ask questions as a collective now.
Okay.
So we could bring Juju and Trooper up. So thank you all for your patience. Thank you, Dan. Thank you,
yes,
Dan.
definitely. Thank y'all.
No problem.
Thank y'all.